Joining us now is a man who's really been the architect as far as India's first set of surgical strikes in 2016 were concerned. Lieutenant General Hooda is joining us now. Thank you so much for speaking to Times Now. Sir, finally India has struck back at Pakistan after 2 weeks of not exactly will we, won't we, but when will we, and now we have. What's your assessment of Operation Sindoor and the strikes on terrorist dens in Pakistan and PoK?
My sense is it's possibly among the strongest messages that we could send out to Pakistan, that terrorism emanating from your soil is no longer acceptable to us. In scale and scope, it's completely different to what we did in 2016 and 2019, where we struck at terrorist camps. I think here the key is that you are hitting at the heart of terrorist leadership. By striking at Muridke and at Bahawalnagar, I think we are sending out the message that not only our foot soldiers, but the leadership of the terrorist organizations will be targeted. The fact that these targets were in Punjab province, again, is a very, very strong message. So I think India has sent out an appropriate signal to Pakistan.
It's very interesting that you mentioned Bahawalpur, of course, Masood Azhar's headquarters, where in fact we understand that a huge amount of the buildings there have been destroyed. There's been tremendous loss of life there as well, is what we understand. All, of course, related to the terrorist groups gathered over there. This is the same case as far as Hafiz Saeed's related infrastructure in Muridke, where Kassab was apparently trained, and David Headley as well. You know, in that sense, this is very, very significant for India because these are groups that have been attempting to bleed India for decades. Is it cathartic justice in that sense?
I would say this is a paradigm shift, absolutely. The fact that they've struck across the international border, the fact that they've struck into the heart of Punjab, the fact that they've hit the headquarters of these two major terrorist organizations. I think we are, and India is saying that there is going to be a strategic shift in our policy on how we are going to deal with terrorism. No longer, as I said, directed merely at sort of foot soldiers, but directed at the terrorist leadership, and indeed at the whole military jihad complex that exists in Pakistan. There is also a sort of strong message that look, either in some ways you rein in this jihadi infrastructure. If you don't, then there is a possibility that you could lead your own country down a very ruinous conflict with India.
Also, I must ask you, because in this context, how challenging is it to conduct a tri-service exercise on such a scale? Because the contribution of all our three defense forces has been here. What kind of planning must it have taken? And how much of the entire process that has now begun of theaterization has helped in this regard?
See, I think there is much greater coordination. There is much greater sort of synergy between the three services. And that, as you are seeing, is reflected in this, very complex operation. You are hitting targets from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir down into South Punjab, all the three services, and hitting 9 targets together at the same time. The kind of resources, I mean, that have gone into this, the complexity of planning, I think it reflects very, very well on the three services, the synergy that they have, the jointmanship that they've shown. My compliments and congratulations to the three service chiefs and the CDS for the manner in which they have executed this operation.
Right. But after carrying out such an attack, should we be worried at all about a retaliation coming in from the Pakistan side? What kind of retaliation do you expect we could possibly see? And are we fully prepared to deal with any such eventuality?
Look, I think in all our military planning, when you are planning such an operation, you have to also plan for the fact that there can be a retaliation, there could be a retaliation, and therefore how you are going to respond to that retaliation. It is not as if, having planned your operation and successfully carried it out, you completely ignore the adversary and say, oh, he's not going to do anything. So obviously there is planning for retaliation, and I'm sure when we made our plans for this attack, the fact that retaliation could come would also have been factored in. What form and shape it takes, difficult to say at this stage. My own sense is it could be limited, to sort of show that, look, because India has done something, we have also responded, and so serve as a sort of face saving that, look, our response has also come. That is where I think the shape that it will take. But you have people like General Munir on the other side, so can't really say. But my own sense is the state that Pakistan is in today, politically, economically, internal security wise, I don't think they will be in any position to escalate it to something which could lead to a larger conflict.
Also, the pictures coming out of Pakistan have made it very clear in terms of the message to the entire world that only terror infrastructure was targeted, and India has now also reached out to the world as well as they brief their allies as well as world powers on the developments. How do you look at this in terms of India's outreach?
Yeah, today, what we have seen is that the communication strategy has been outstanding. It's been excellent. There was some criticism after the 2019 airstrike that for a long period of time there was a sort of a communication gap, and the first message that the strike has taken place actually came from Pakistan. So India has been very proactive. At night, just after the strike, the message was put out. I think today's press conference, the presentation that was made to say this is how India has suffered and no more is what we are going to do. I think the communication strategy has been outstanding as far as the Operation Sindoor is concerned.
As somebody who has planned, of course, for India's surgical strikes, Lieutenant Hooda, also would like to get in your views on the planning that takes place when such a response is given. How much of it is planned in advance, how much of it is spur of the moment, and what really, of course, are the considerations, the political implications that are kept in mind while planning for such a strike?
So look, I'll tell you how the whole planning process starts with the political leadership giving you clear directions. And I think in this case, the Prime Minister would have laid out very, very clear directions as to what is the objective to be achieved. The fact that you are free to hit targets within Pakistan. He would have possibly indicated that you could take on the two headquarters at Retd and Bahawalpur. So these are broad political directions, and thereafter, of course, the service chiefs go and make a detailed plan, how much time it will take, what preparations are required to be made, which is also what the Prime Minister talked about, giving freedom to the service chiefs to plan. And plan the timing of the attack, and having made these sort of detailed plans, not spur of the moment. Actually, you factor in all kinds of contingencies, and these contingencies include what reaction could come from the enemy side too. And once the plans are finally made, they are presented again to the political leadership, and of course, the Prime Minister would then give his final nod and say, "Go ahead and do it."
All right, Lieutenant Hooda, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us and explaining to all of us, our viewers as well, as to what really goes on as far as the planning, the preparation, and what really the implications of what India's strike really has for us in the future as well. Thank you so much for joining us, indeed.